The chair recognizes the gentleman from Kentucky.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to bring to the floor the continuing appropriations resolution to keep the federal government operating until November 18th of this year. For procedural reasons, this is being done as an amendment to the Senate amendment to H.R. 2608 to speed passage through the Senate at their request. But in substance, this is the same as the continuing resolution, H.J. Res. 79, that I introduced on September 14th. This CR, Mr. Speaker, will give Congress the time needed to complete fiscal year 2012 appropriations and adequately fund vital government programs and services while working to put federal spending on a more sustainable course. Just as significantly, this bill provides desperately needed funding for disaster recovery and relief. I would have preferred to complete the appropriations process in regular order, and I believe the House made great strides in doing so. The Appropriations Committee moved on 11 of the 12 annual appropriations bills, and 6 bills have cleared the House. But we still need time to collaborate with our colleagues in the Senate in order to complete this work, and a short-term bill will allow us to do so. As we saw last year and into the spring, the threat of a government shutdown causes dangerous economic instability. And at this precarious time, we need to bolster the American public confidence that their representatives in Washington are working for them and not let politics come before people. The CR continues government operations at a rate of $1.043 trillion. The total amount agreed to by the Congress and the White House in the Budget Control Act. It's clean of most policy provisions to ensure swift passage, but we've provided small changes for safety, security, and continuity of essential programs. For instance, we've extended federal flood insurance availability and the availability of defense survival equipment for our troops abroad. In addition, this CR will help meet the needs of the thousands of families, businesses, and communities burdened by recent natural disasters by providing an immediate $1 billion in emergency 2011 funding now, as well as an additional $2.65 billion for the next year. We're helping our citizens get back on their feet. The $776 million in the bill for the FEMA Disaster Relief Fund, which is $276 million more than the President or the Senate proposed, is time-sensitive and critical. That fund is now below $250 million and is running out of money fast. Unless we provide additional funding within a matter of days, the Disaster Relief Fund will soon be empty, leaving millions of people in the lurch. The $1 billion in emergency funding for fiscal year 2011 has been offset by a cut to the Department of Energy's Advanced Technology Vehicle Manufacturing Loan Program, which has more than $4 billion in unspent idle funds in the pipeline. It's been there for 3 years. Now is the time to use those idle dollars for true and immediate purposes, aiding our fellow citizens in their times of greatest need as they cope with the aftermath of wildfires, tornadoes, earthquakes, and hurricanes, an unprecedented string of disasters in this country. Now, the notion of offsetting emergency spending has gotten a lot of attention as of late. Let me be very clear. Offsetting emergency spending is not a unique practice. In fact, over the last 10 years, the Congress has used offsets in at least 15 of 30 emergency supplemental spending bills, half of them. In total, the Congress has passed over $60 billion in emergency offsets in the last 10 years, most of which had a large amount of support on both sides of the aisle, including the support of our former Speaker Pelosi. The loan program used as an offset in this bill has had excess funds for years, and taking the money will not negatively affect that program. All entities in final loan stages will still get the funding they've worked for. Furthermore, this offset is identical to the one already passed by the House in June as part of the Homeland Security Appropriations Bill. We've already voted for it. In addition, the committee will continue to consider additional disaster funding over the next few weeks as we bring the fiscal year 2012 appropriations process to a close, hopefully by November the 18th, including reviewing estimates that are still coming in from recent disasters so that families and communities can get the assistance they need while making sure that every dollar is well spent. The Budget Control Act, which both houses in Congress and the White House agreed to, provides for 2012 disaster funding in that capacity. But with respect to this continuing resolution, at this time, we do not have all of the necessary information on the cost of the recent disasters, nor the time to work out a final comprehensive agreement with the White House and the Senate. As members of this body know, back in their home districts, the FEMA administration works to survey the damage and report that to the White House, who in turn makes a request to Congress for disaster funds. That's the normal procedure in which we're involved now, and I assure the members that as we get those estimates from the White House in the next few weeks and months, they will be addressed and monies will be available. Therefore, we must meet the most immediate need and provide additional funding now for FEMA to keep that program going for the next several months. That's what this continuing resolution does, and why we, the House and Senate, have to pass this bill immediately. This CR lives up to the guidelines set in the Budget Control Act, as well as our commitment to responsible and reduced levels of spending. We can right our fiscal ship while still supporting essential government programs and services and disaster aid. And with this in mind, it is my intention that Congress complete the fiscal year 12 appropriations work without any further delay. And the sooner we pass this CR, the sooner we can focus on long-term appropriations legislation and get it done before November 18th. So I urge my colleagues in both chambers to support this bill so we can send it to the President as soon as possible. I reserve.
The gentleman reserves his time.